Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
And we're glad to have on our live line with us this morning Penn Democrat Tracy Mitrano, who was just declared the winner of the recent primary, and she was declared the winner on Tuesday of this week. Tracy Mitrano, thanks for joining us by phone this morning.
Good morning, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Well, so much going on. You just were declared the winner of the Democratic primary. It was on primary night. Max Delapia was 26 votes ahead, but after all the absentees were counted, you've been declared the winner. Tracy Mitrano, do you know the count?
Little thought there, Brian. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Mr. Delapia has conceded the race, but we still have one more county to vote today, and I do not believe that the Board of Elections has certified the election yet. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
But the Buffalo News and most of the media outlets are saying that it's impossible to turn it around for Delapia at this point.
Yes, sir. That is correct. Yes.
So the election will be Tuesday, November 6th, and you'll be the Democrat candidate, it looks like, running against Congressman Tom Reed. What are your plans between now and November 6th, Tracy Mitrano?
Well, we're going to reach out to everyone in this district, Brian. Of course, it's going to be two names, Mitrano and Reed, but really, we're at a place in our politics where this election is about the issues. It truly is, because the neglect that we have experienced in this area, watching New York City and Boston and even a couple of our towns here in the 23rd, Ithaca and Corning, they're moving. And because there has not been the work done sufficiently in the past to have healthy, educated people, infrastructure put in, proper conservation of our resources, and I hope we can talk about that with respect to the flooding in Wlea. This is the work now this district must do in order to get itself in a place where it could have the economic opportunity that we're seeing all around us. It would be a different set of stories if the whole country were in a major recession. It's not. But why aren't we moving forward? I believe it's those issues. I believe that's the message that we put forward to the people for the Democratic primary, and that's why I believe people have responded to it.
Tracy Mitrano, back to the number count. For the counties that you did win, how did things go there? I realize that there's one county left to go, but can you give us a sense of how the numbers went in the counties where you were ahead?
Yes, I can. I won them all on the absentee ballot, with the exception of Mr. Delapia's hometown county in Tioga.
Okay, and I know that you did very well in nearby Allegheny County, which we're hearing the other side of Allegheny County is apparently suffering from some flooding this morning. Apparently, Bolivar, Richburg in Allegheny County, we're just hearing, was hit with very heavy rains last night, as was Wlea, and that's part of the congressional district. Tracy Mitrano, will you be heading over to any of these areas? We're hearing Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, and Allegheny counties, the other side of Allegheny County, not the side near us, which would be more Alfred. Tell us, are you heading over towards any of those parts of the district today, Tracy Mitrano?
I'm looking into that right now. It's, as you know, about 8:30 in the morning. I am looking into it, and for a lot of reasons. First of all, the interesting thing about Ithaca is that it had a concern that I would not do well in the West, and that this is why some people perhaps chose not to vote for me in the primary. And, of course, then we saw with the results of the primary that I won Chautauqua. I soundly won the absentee ballot in Cattaraugus. I won Allegheny. These places are near and dear to my heart, having grown up in Rochester. We have the same accent. I just heard you say the name of Rochester, and, you've got that same accent too, Brian. Rochester. And so I feel very at home in those places, so I feel very concerned about what I'm seeing now and what needs to be done for the people in these areas in the future. I'm particularly concerned because the water up in the area around Great Valley, where we have very insecure, low-level radioactive waste, must be attended to, and it must be attended to by Congress. That radioactive waste was the residue from the atomic program in the Second World War. If that waste is not properly secured, it could go right into the Wlea Creek, which feeds into the Cattaraugus Creek, which feeds into Lake Erie, and that's 1/6 of our fresh water in the entire world. So, yes, I am trying to make plans to get out there and be sure that if I go out there, I can talk to some people so that I can understand the situation better. The people who are affected could get proper relief, and that we can begin a large-scale planning to address the matter of the Great Valley radioactive waste.
We're talking live with Penn Democrat Tracy Mitrano this morning. Tracy Mitrano, wondering in the aftermath of the vote count of this week, have you been able to speak to? And I realize you got the holiday there, but have we spoken with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand or Senator Chuck Schumer, or have you reached out to, or have they reached out to you at all during the campaign?
I met Senator Gillibrand at the Rural Democratic Conference back in April. And we're hoping very much to work closely with her, as well as Senator Schumer, whom I've not ever met personally. We do expect all of those communications to follow. As you mentioned, we had the holiday. I also think that people are waiting for Yates County. That vote will start at 10 o'clock this morning. As I'm speaking to you, I'm in Penn Yan right now, actually the town of Milo, and looking at the beautiful lake. So I know that all of this will transpire today, and it may be, Brian, that working on formalities, some people, of course, are waiting until the vote is certified.
Okay. That's good to know, so that they'll be counting the votes this morning in Yates County at 10 a.m. Tracy Mitrano, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll talk with meteorologist Rob Carolyn about the weather in Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties and the other side of Allegheny counties, and then we'll get back to you and the campaign heading towards Tuesday, November 6th. Stay with us.
The Ryan Agencies, your local, independent insurance agencies. Insurance can be, hard to understand. At the Ryan Agency, they're your local insurance experts. Questions get answered, problems get solutions. It's like having your own personal insurance advisor. Contact the Ryan Agencies today, your local experts with answers and solutions.
Insurance protection you can rely on. The Ryan Agency.
Checking in now with meteorologist Rob Carolyn, who said Cattaraugus and Chautauqua County got hit pretty hard with rain yesterday.
They did, Brian. We had a cluster of storms around this time yesterday morning that were affecting those two counties in the southern tier to our west and southwest. And boy, oh boy, they had all sorts of flooding issues. That storm complex then kind of drifted along the border and went down into Pennsylvania, caused some problems for them. In fact, there's still some storms going on this morning outside of Altoona. We'll keep an eye on that activity because it may expand towards us today. There's a cold front moving into the western Great Lakes that will bring an end to this latest heat wave and bring us some delightful weather for the weekend and into early next week. For today, a fair amount of clouds along with some sunshine. We're at risk for a scattered shower or thunderstorm later today, 85 to 90. Sunrise this morning was at 5:40. Sunset tonight at 8:50. Days are definitely getting shorter now. We'll have showers, thunderstorms tonight. Some may produce heavy rainfall, 65 to 70. They'll end towards morning. We'll clear behind the front tomorrow. Becomes partly to mostly sunny, breezy, less humid, and more comfortable. Highs tomorrow afternoon, 75 to 80. Clear tomorrow night, 50 to 55. Brian, a beautiful day Saturday, sunshine 75 to 80, or sunny Sunday as well with a high around 80 degrees.
And we're live on our live line with Opinion Democrat Tracy Mitrano. Tracy Mitrano, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand does press conferences, maybe every 2 or 3 weeks on the phone with reporters. And she was not pleased with the Republicans' farm bill. Just on your website and see that you talk a lot about agriculture. The area that you're in the congressional district has a lot of wineries. Did you have any thoughts, plans, legislation as far as wineries go?
Well, of course, the first issue that is affecting the wineries is the tariff that President Trump has set up. People nationally focused on California, naturally, when this issue first emerged, but it affects our area specifically, and I have spoken to some of the folks in the Finger Lakes area wineries who are already feeling the effects of it. So one of the things that I am sure that the people of this district want is a voice in Congress to an administration who seems to have no rhyme or reason for so much of its international policy, Brian. And this would be a classic example. Soybeans are also affected, agriculture across the board. And the dairy farmers' crisis needs also to be mentioned. It's part of a group of crops and issues that affect very deeply the people in this district. And, the 23rd district is 97% agricultural. And I do not believe that they have been served properly by the current representatives, so there is much to be discussed about agriculture, yes, including wine, but also our dairy farmers and our vegetable and other crop farmers.
What right now strikes you as the key issue in the 23rd Congressional District these days? What strikes you as the biggest issue? One of the big issues, of course, would be immigration. That's very much at the forefront. But in the 23rd Congressional District, what's key to you right now, Tracy Mitrano?
Yes. Well, listening to the people of this district, the one specific issue is health care. And I have pledged to address that issue front and center of the attention that this next congressional session will have. And I will not be alone. This is not an issue isolated to the 23rd District. There are reasons why it is affecting the 23rd District more pointedly, and it goes back to the underlying issues of economic development. In the areas where people have jobs and incomes now, Brian, they're able to afford pretty well the payments that they have to make into the current system of the Affordable Care Act. But people are not doing well, by and large, in our district. And so we need to be thinking about yet a more robust reform to healthcare to make it affordable to people here. And so if you're looking for that one single issue that I heard more than any other issue when I was out on the road in this last year, it is healthcare reform still, which is such a shame. This is something we could have, should have dealt with in this country decades ago. We haven't, so now we absolutely must do it because we're stuck in the cycle of conversations about this. We're not moving on sufficiently. We still nationally have 30 million people without any form of health care coverage, which means that people who pay taxes, working and middle-class people paying taxes, are still paying more for health care nationally than all the estimates suggest we would if we had, for example, a single-payer system. And so healthcare is that number one issue. Allow me to speak to immigration because, of course, in terms of what Congress can do directly as a matter of helping our farmers and agriculture in this district is immigration reform. You hit the nail on the head. I hear that from large farms. I hear it from small farms. I hear it from the immigration community. Even my own friends here in this area. Isabella Leon Morales' husband was deported in March. He was picked up on an improper stop here in the Yates County area last June. Spent all that time in between in detention in Batavia and over in Allegheny. The judge in Rochester who heard his case practically put his head in his hands. All of the nuns from the order of the schools where I attended when I was growing up in Rochester, the Sisters of St. Joseph, they would come to those hearings. They would stand in the back of the courtroom. And here is a judge who was also raised in that same tradition. He gets the message. We all wrote letters on behalf and of Gilberto, and I felt bad in the sense the judge put his head in his hands and said, I wish I could do something about you. My hands are tied. Congress, Brian, can untie that judge's hands. Congress can start to get the number of judges and adjudicators that we need to process these cases down currently on the border, where we have the inhuman treatment of people separated from their families, and it is still going on, notwithstanding whatever presidential order Mr. Trump issued 10 days ago or so. There are many young children. There's a 3-year-old girl whose entire family except her grandmother has been massacred in these crime-infested areas of Central America, and she just wants to get her to safety in the United States. 3 years old, separated from her grandmother. She was allowed a 15-minute conversation with her 4 days after the separation. And by the way, this was a legal crossing. It was documented by the press. She asked for asylum. She went straight to the U.S. authorities. This is not a so-called illegal entry. But this is an inhumane treatment. That child cried for 15 minutes inconsolably. Who wouldn't when you're 3 years old? You've already had the atrocities in your family, and now you've been separated from your grandmother around people who don't speak your language, have your culture, and you are, in fact, in a sense, incarcerated within it. You can't leave willingly. This must be addressed by Congress.
We're talking on our live line this morning with Penn Yan Democrat Tracy Mitrano. Tracy Mitrano, you have not talked a lot about, in your campaign, about Congressman Tom Reed. Your thought on your opponent and the job that, Reed has done so far in the 23rd Congressional District.
Well, I've talked sufficient to the need, I think, Brian.
Right.
Meaning that Congressman Reed has neglected this district. You know, the question I would love to ask every single person in this district is, how and in what ways is your life better than it was when Mr. Reed went to Washington in 2010? Technically 2011, but from that 2010 election. I think most people, because I've already asked this question many times, it's worse. My medical debt is still growing. There are still usurious interest rates on student loans. Whether I'm talking to a young person saying, I don't think I can make that investment because I'm not sure that I'll be able to pay that back. I don't want to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt that just is compounded by interest rates of 6, 7, 8, 9%. And we still have these great environmental concerns here. We don't have an anti-fracking bill nationally. If we get a different governor, who knows what a Republican governor, for example, would interpret the health order upon which Governor Cuomo has issued the ban on fracking. We need to take care of our environment. I already have spoken about Great Valley, the concern there. Brian, we need $6 to $10 billion to fix Great Valley. Those are the estimates I've read. And we have a congressperson who has gone to bat for $75 million. So, if you don't sit there and pore over the documents to learn about the scope and gravity of this situation, it would appear that $75 million is a lot of money. But it's not enough. And so when you put all of these issues together, punctuated, and this one just is so senseless, the lack of the basic utility of the internet through this area, when the technology is there, the ability to deploy broadband internet is not a scientific or engineering challenge. It's being done in developing countries all around the world. And we have not done it in the 23rd District for political reasons that Congress can address. And so the issues are truly driving this election. In a sentence, this district has been neglected by a congressperson who favors his big donors who are not in this district, who are corporate interests, insurance, fossil fuels, National Rifle Association, banking. These are the interests to which he caters. HMOs. He is an extremist on health care. He has voted against every kind of program that is already starting to help people here, and he mischaracterizes the efforts that people are bringing forward for more reform as socialized medicine. It is no such thing. But if you ask the people what they need, they're very clear about it. And let me paraphrase a gentleman that I spoke to some weeks ago. I just saw him yesterday. He and his mom came by the house here for Independence Day and stopped by and had something to eat with us. I voted for Trump and I voted for Reid, and now I know those people don't care about me anymore. I could not say it better, Brian, about how and why this district wants a different representative than the one we have had for 4 cycles now, and who has done nothing to help the people of this district.
With that, we have to go. Penn Democrat Tracy Mitrano told us earlier in the show that the Yates County Democratic Commissioner is going to be counting the votes over in Yates County at 10 a.m. today. Not expected to make a difference in the outcome, which will be in Tracy Mitrano's favor, we're told. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us live today.
Thank you, Brian. I love Hornell. I'm sorry I missed your fireworks. We were over here with the air show and the Branchport Parade, but looking forward to stopping by your place sometime soon.
Thank you very much, Tracy Mitrano. It's AM 1480 WLEA Hornell.